Love smarter, not harder. Today's question. It's a little bit longer, so I'll stop throughout and share some thoughts. I met a man 8 years older than me on Tinder, who I really like. We've been talking for 2 weeks, and I really love his approach to me and our conversations. He asked me to meet up, and we agreed to see each other last Tuesday at 7 p.m. We decided to pick the place later. When it was Tuesday, he wrote me saying that he's super busy because of unexpected meetings at work, and he asked me if I had time at the end of the week. He apologized and said that for sure we'd meet up then, which would be better anyway because he'd be more relaxed from work and would have more time for me. I thought, that's fine. I told him I was free on Friday and Saturday. He said, maybe Friday. I said, what does maybe Friday mean? He said, if we both have time. Then I informed him that I don't play these games, and I've never heard from him again. Okay. So what I'm seeing here is he's very nonchalant about scheduling. You know, he's like, Tuesday, 7 p.m., we'll pick the place later. Tuesday, he texts you about these meetings. Maybe they all happen on Tuesday, but it's also likely that he knew some meetings were going to pop up on Tuesday, on Monday, yet he didn't text you about this until Tuesday. So he has a laissez-faire approach to scheduling, and that bugged you. And that's fine. Some people are more nonchalant, like I said. Some people want to know, let's get it down, let's get the plan down, let's set it in stone, and that's more your style. That's not his style. I don't know if he's playing games or not. Maybe he is, but you guys just don't have the same style, and it bothered you, and he decided because you don't have the same style, you're not a fit, and that's why you haven't heard back from him. So I don't think that there's a ton there, except that's what dating is getting to know who the person is, and he showed you who he is, and you showed him who you are, and it wasn't a fit. She goes on to say, in our conversations, he had told me that I need to be more relaxed in the beginning of a relationship, because otherwise I'm checking out everything with the person and not letting things just happen. So this I really don't like, because in the first couple of weeks of a relationship, he should not be telling you who he thinks you should be. If he doesn't care for the way that you are handling things and that he thinks you're not being relaxed enough, then he should go, this is a woman who's not going to fit my vibe. It's not going to be a connection that's going to work. Instead of telling you, you need to relax. That would have really bothered me. And so within 2 weeks, he's already trying to change you and tell you should be a different person. My husband doesn't try to tell me to be a different person or change me. And we've been married for forever. So I don't like this energy. I don't know if it's because he's 8 years older and he's looking for someone younger who he thinks he can boss around. But this part I really don't like for you. She says, but I find myself still into him, even though we never met. He really checked off all my boxes in terms of the ideal guy I want. Well, early on in a relationship, it's very easy when a guy checks off a couple boxes to then assume and hope that he's going to check off all these other boxes, because really you don't know him. You only communicated via text for 2 weeks. So you're like, I'm really into him. Well, you were into what you knew of him until the last little interaction, which clearly showed that he wasn't a fit for you. It didn't check off your box in terms of how you like to schedule getting together. Also, I would hope it would be a red flag, now that we've talked about it, that a guy who's trying to tell you to relax in the first couple of weeks of knowing you, that's also not a fit. If he didn't like who you were, he could have stepped aside instead of trying to tell you who you should be and trying to change you. She says, I'm a very strong-willed person and usually consider myself mature as well. So why do I feel so bad about this whole situation? It was easier to break up with my last boyfriend than to let go of this guy. I felt as if I did something wrong and was pushing too much. Did I? Well, I think you feel bad about the situation because, like I said, you made him out in your mind to be someone who he's not. And so you fell in love with the idea of him. I mean, I hope you're not in love, but you fell in like. You were starting to catch feelings for the idea of him, not who he is. And that's normal in the beginning of a relationship. As far as if you did something wrong, I say absolutely not. You were just being you. If you're strong-willed and you're mature, then you're going to find a guy who's going to love that. This guy, kind of from the little bit of information I have, seems like he wanted to run the show and you were like, hey, what does maybe Friday mean? He didn't care for it. But at least you didn't spend more time than 2 weeks realizing and investing in him and then coming to realize that you weren't a fit. She goes on to say, I really think that love should be easy, exactly as your message is to people. At the same time, I hear and see a lot of women pushing forward the relationships with their partners. Even one of my friends told me that if she weren't in the driver's seat, her relationship wouldn't have survived. I really don't want that type of dynamic. But on the other hand, my friends who run things have relationships, and some of them have kids, but here I am without a long-term relationship in the last 3 years. It's really confusing. Well, there are women who run the show. And these women, your friends who have the relationships and the kids, they probably picked passive guys that they could orchestrate everything and say, this is how it's going to be. And the guys were like, cool. And that works for them. And that's great. But if you like what they have, meaning they have relationships and they have children, it doesn't mean that the only way to get that, to have a relationship and have children, is to be just like them, if that doesn't feel right for you. I personally wanted an equal partner. I didn't want to be running the show, and I didn't want to be told what to do. And I found that, but it took a long time. So I just want to encourage you that you are being you, and you're gathering information about people you date, and this guy wasn't a fit. And yes, you see what other women have, but just because they have that doesn't mean that you have to adhere to their approach to relationships and then adopt the same dynamics that they have in their relationships if that doesn't feel right for you. So I know you're questioning yourself. I would ask you not to give this guy so much power over you, to doubt yourself and question yourself, and really see it as, at least it was only 2 weeks, and it wasn't 2 months, that you didn't waste any more time with a guy who just wasn't a fit for you. And I hope that's helpful.